excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So today we're a day early, but we're going to talk about the new moon in Scorpio that's coming up tomorrow on November 20th and how excited we are about it, essentially, right?
Yes. Yeah, it kind of bridges these 2 days anyway, so it's perfect timing, isn't it? But I know for us in the UK, it's 6:49 a.m. or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah.
very exciting, turbulent, wonderful times.
I know. And it's so interesting because as you and I've been talking a little bit in our pre-talk, it's there's the sign of Scorpio. So we're both kind of familiar with it because we have it appear in our charts in different ways. And Scorpio, as many listeners probably also know, has to do with very deep emotions. It has to do with passions, it has to do with secrets, it has to do with kind of that stuff that we don't want to look at normally. That stuff that we would rather watch a Netflix movie than to like deal with that really deep, icky emotion. Are you sensing that?
I've been doing that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've been doing
definitely.
that. Yeah.
But very aware while I'm doing it as well. Just
Yeah.
thinking, my pen was probably on fire last night. I was journaling so much, but it was just all coming back to using time more wisely and not avoiding these things which seem really hard. So yeah, I've
Yeah.
been in the thick of that, definitely.
Yeah, me too. Very much. And I'm very much used to being there. You know how some people kind of avoid this all the time. This is kind of where I swim all the time. I like to go very deep. But what came up to me leading into this new moon was something that it's almost as if I thought that I wasn't allowing myself to trust others. But what came up super deep in my own body is that I wasn't allowing myself to trust myself. And that was a deeply uncomfortable feeling when that came up because I was like, oh wow, it's been me this whole time who hasn't fully trusted myself to relax in my own body and to even to tune into my own emotions, which I thought I had been doing, but apparently I needed to go even deeper.
Yeah, break through that next layer of concrete over.
Yeah. The
No,
dungeon
I get
layer.
that. I get that
Yeah.
as well. Because on a similar kind of path to your trust, I didn't make that connection, but I realize I've been avoiding people or situations. And in turn, what the big realization I had was I'm actually avoiding myself by doing that.
Yeah.
But for that to link in with trust makes complete sense. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's like we're digging this. We're digging this. We're digging for this. Both of the expressions together, and we're trying to figure out, where is this taking us? And sometimes we make a few connections by ourselves, but it's really truly in this communication with other people that we start to realize, oh wait, that applies to me as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to that community, and I know we've spoken about that before, but that's where the exponential growth is, isn't it? Just kind of bouncing these ideas or energies between each other and coming to these realizations.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And so if we look at sort of the larger cycles, I think this new moon is really beautiful. I mean, it's obviously a potential for putting out new intentions, which any moon is. And I would just like to note, which I did myself actually, what's a good, because the exactitude of when the new moon is, it's actually in 28 degrees of Scorpio.
Yeah.
And then you can take that, and for anyone who has kind of pulled their own astrological chart off of, any website on the internet, you can then see where 28 degrees of Scorpio falls into your house, your different houses. I actually did that for myself, and it fell into house number 2, which was both long-term kind of security in terms of investments, in terms of work and so on, but it was also long-term trusting yourself and relationships. So
Wow.
both internal and external, right?
Yeah.
And how beautifully those two are linked is just incredible.
Yeah, I really love that, and I printed off my birth chart today
Mm,
because I've been going through. I mentioned to you I was going to do that course on like reading the birth charts and all that, which I started, but a lot of it goes over my head. I have to be honest, so
mm.
it's taking some getting used to. But I'd love to know that about myself, actually.
Yeah, of course. It's really it's kind of an exploration that anyone can do themselves, and it's also helpful to get a little bit of help sometimes from somebody who's have done this for a while, and they can be like, oh yeah, this means this and this means that, right? So it's helpful that way. But either way, for anyone who has their own birth chart, they can figure out where this reset happens in their house, and you can figure that out too for yourself, Roy, because that is where we want to put our new seed, our new intention in this new moon. We want to look at what is it that, what can I put as an intention that I can then continue on in 2026? So this is kind of the seeding point, planting that little carrot seed and then watching the carrot grow in the next season, which is the beginning, as we've been talking about for a few times now, how 2025 is a year of endings mostly, beginnings also, but 2026 is a numerology year 10, which ends up being 1. And so it's a beginning year. And that's very clear in like all the astrology as well. There's a lot of new beginnings happening.
There's a quote which I think fits perfectly in with this. I found her on a website called Moon Omens,
Mm.
and it looks like a fantastic website. But I'll read it word for word. It said, "This new moon invites us to dive deeply into the underworld of our psyche, meet ourselves in places we don't normally visit, and confront the darkness. This moon is a soul initiation into the mysteries of life, death, and rebirth, and shows us that change is constant." I read that last night and I was like,
Wow.
wow.
If that doesn't make you excited, I don't know what's going to make you
Yeah,
excited, right?
yeah,
That's gorgeous. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah. But it, as you say, it does summarize everything about this year. It's been a year of things dying off and rebirthing, and yeah, trust
Yeah.
has been such a big thing in this year for me as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. And also, as I was driving home today, I thought to myself, "Oh, okay, so we're gonna talk about, the Newman and all this stuff." And all of a sudden, it dawned on me, holy crap, it's in the middle of November already. So this year for me has gone so quickly. It's almost as if it's been like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And it's just been in such a fast paced movement that it's almost that I haven't been able to reflect or react to it. It's just been happening. Have you felt
yeah,
that?
yeah, yes, sometimes quite overwhelmingly, I would say. Things
Mm,
just keep happening. But what I have realized in the past couple of weeks, even though I've done loads of this work, I
mm,
still get caught up in my thoughts, and I'm kind of like willing things to, or forcing things to move forward in the way I want to. But I've realized in the past couple of weeks, and I've kind of experimented.
mm.
So I've been like, if I've caught myself chasing and forcing, I've just kind of said, let's hold back on this. Let's just see what comes of this. And
Mm.
it's so true. I've heard it dozens of times. Everything works out better than we could ever imagine ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's been a real learning experience for me just to let go of that grip, which I thought I had done anyway, and
Yeah.
just
Mm.
trust that everything's working out.
Yes. And how beautifully, because what I'm thinking about now too is all that depth of emotion, all that kind of going into the deepest part of you. It really is about trust also, to allow yourself to trust yourself to be in those deep emotions. And also, I just want to tie it back into like right now, we have actually 6 planets in water signs. So they're intensifying like the depth of Scorpio. They're forcing you, or not forcing you, but they're really saying, hey, you should really look at this. And I think that's why in the collective, there's a lot of this trust, right? How can I actually trust myself in the depth of my emotions? no matter what I'm going to uncover underneath here, am I going to be okay to just sit with that? Am I going to make it through? And am I going to hold my own hands, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? And not reach for, another way of numbing myself that I've used to do in the past, or like a reaction. I'll just mention for myself, and this is something that's coming really deeply for me, is instead of when I've been needing closeness to people, I instead push them away, because then I at least feel safe and like, oh, I have control over this situation.
Yeah.
Even though I would have liked someone to be there and listen to me, it's all has felt safer for me not to do that, and even in close relationships. So it, like, allowing someone else to be there for you is also trust.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, but as you said, if you're holding on to that control, it can be tough to kind of. There's baby steps, I would say, isn't there? It's not just relinquishing control and saying,
Oh,
"Okay, I trust everything." It's just like doing those little experiments to prove to yourself that it's safe to
yes.
do that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And it's the same thing as when you're working on your intuition. You start small, and you're like, oh, look, there was the 1111, or I found a feather on the ground, and this must be a message for me. And you start to listen to those signals, and eventually you can start to trust bigger and bigger things. My new mantra, because I listened to a woman who, I forgot her name now, I apologize, but she was a quantum physicist who's also heavily and deeply involved in spirituality and has been for decades. And she said, no matter what the situation is, she always says, how good can this get?
Oh wow!
So she's kind of asking the universe a question, right? How good can this get? Like this terrible situation where, maybe I was in a car crash, maybe I'm in this horrible situation at work, maybe I'm having a great day. No matter what it is, you still keep on asking, how good can it get? And it's really super helpful.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's a variation, I would say, on what is this teaching me, isn't it? Which
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot, but I do love that.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that feels good, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
Yes. And I think as you and I are talking about these baby steps, it helps me remind myself that in this moment of now, we're in this kind of womb, mush state, and we're ready for our big transformation. So we're just kind of in between the larvae and the butterfly, right? And right now we can practice these baby steps so that we then can start flying in the beginning of 2026. That's like how I'm looking at it. And right now I feel like this is the time that many of us have been waiting for a very long time, maybe for many lifetimes.
yeah, yeah. In consciously in this lifetime, I know I've been waiting for this for a long time, and
Yeah.
I, I felt so lost for a long time as well. But then
Mm.
things kind of the blocks start going into place, and you can see that you're moving up. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's going to happen quickly now. I mean, this
yeah,
is kind of our last chance to do all the things that we've been talking about, to get rid of the things that you no longer need or want in your psyche, deep in your psyche. And that actually brings up another point. So right now what might be good for people is to look at where 25 degrees of Pisces falls into their chart, because that's the area where you might have unfinished things that you want to leave behind, that you want to kind of, you don't want to bring that baggage with you into 2026, is what I'm trying to say. And now is your time to kind of flush it out with the backwater.
wow. I'm going to be rewatching this video tonight, and I'm going to be writing down all these things I need to look at on my birth chart.
All the numbers. I know. Because intellectually it's also more helpful when you
Yeah,
can say, okay, this, if I look at these things, it starts to make sense. Otherwise you're gonna wonder, why are all these things happening in this area of my life? Like, why do I feel like this here? But if you already know that, oh, but this is an area of life that I'm now working on to try to release all of my egoic, traumatic wounding, whatever it might be, then it's helpful for your mind to relax into that.
Yeah, and that's been a theme, I think, just having that awareness and understanding of. I said in our last videos, I haven't really followed the lunar cycles and all that kind of thing before this year, and I have really noticed, instead of being pulled around by life, it gives me some sort of understanding and meaning of why things are happening. So
Yeah,
yeah, it can be less disorientating.
for sure. And I think, because if we were just purely in our, how should I say, in our spirit, like if we had left the ego behind, we would have never really have to have these discussions and really talk about it. But because we're still ruled by our mind and our emotions, it's very important to understand what's going on, because then it can more easily be transformed within you. But I think right now is extremely, like, tremendously potent times in this now
Yeah,
moment, you know?
yeah, without a doubt. There's just so much opportunity, as you say, letting go of
Mm,
these things now to start this fresh year
yeah.
on a different, well, not maybe not a different path, but on like an improved path. Just letting go of that baggage, I think that's really important.
Hmm. Yeah. And I feel it. That's kind of where we started our discussion today. So both you and I have been both feeling it and doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Another point that I wanted to bring up is, we have Neptune and Uranus in a sextile right now, and well, how should I say, the first time that kind of happened in this sequence was back in 1993 when the internet went viral. It's
yeah,
kind of, that start. But what we're seeing right now, so we have Neptune, which is sort of traditionally the god of the sea, right? And that rules dreams, illusions, higher consciousness, like even kind of Christ consciousness, I would venture to say. And then you have Uranus, which is the god of the sky, and that is, sudden transformations, technology, insights, those types of fast moving ideas, and so on and so forth. So we're it's almost like we can see two different things happening right now. One potential is like technology becoming more controlling, right? Or
yeah,
becoming more disillusioned, like augmented reality, those VR glasses, like plugging us into, computer games, Minecraft, those types of things, right? Or we have the potential to use those two planets in combination to realize things that we've never realized before in terms of our consciousness, right?
yeah,
What can our biology do? How can we, maybe telepathy, our clairvoyance, like all those things. So it's almost like a split between the technology route, the digital IDs and so on, and your biology being upgraded and becoming activated. Does that make sense?
yeah. It definitely does, and yeah, it does seem like a crossroad, doesn't it? Where we can go one or two ways, but I think a lot of us and a lot of the people around me now are understanding the healing possibilities of their own body and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the path I'm definitely going to be taking.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And but it's beautiful to see the two potentials, right?
Yeah,
And then you kind of navigate, because and the reason I wanted to mention that is because we're in such powerful times that this is now that you're making the choice. So when you leave the baggage behind that we just spoke about, searching deeply and looking into yourself and leaving that baggage behind, you're essentially choosing that timeline where you're now able to elevate your consciousness, because you've left the bag at the door, so to speak. Now you're moving on, and you can now tune into higher energies and higher frequencies.
yeah. I've been watching quite a lot about quantum physics recently, actually, and yeah, just there was a video, I'll have to share it with you, and this
Mm.
lady, it was sick. I think it was 3 minutes long actually, and she just put it so simply, it was just incredible. Just that we do have the power to be anything, and we are already that thing in a quantum universe. So it's just about connecting with those frequencies, isn't it? And yeah, whatever we want is within us. So
yes, exactly. It's so beautiful, and us starting to scratch the surface of it and starting to realize it's we've spoken about this before, but I'm very much in the camp of that this is a remembrance. This is going back to things that we've already known, and I believe that we're going to start out 2026 in that space of rediscovering who we are, like searching deeply and finding things that we were not previously aware of. So it's this very beautiful, very much being in your body. We have the full moon in Taurus, really grounding yourself, being in your body. And it's a full embodiment of your insights.
yeah.
That's how I'm feeling it.
Yeah, and I've noticed myself, because meditation, I'm not very good at doing it consistently. I kind of fall out of the loop, but then recently I've really just connected with that more. And journaling, I'm the same. I'll do it for a while, then I'll forget about it, buy a new book, start re-journaling in that book.
Yes.
But one thing I have done, actually, I had a recommendation, and I've set 3 alarms per day. So it's a journaling opportunity. It might take a minute. And the questions I ask myself are, what would God have me do today? And then the next one is, who am I? And it's such a reflective practice just to do that, because you get in the thick of the day, stress comes, emails, phone calls, the dog dirties on the floor, or whatever happens. And then your alarm goes off, and it's just that time to stop and just reflect.
I love that. I love that. I love the reminder, and I love the depth of those questions.
Yeah,
because it's like a suction device. They immediately pull you back into you and to what's important.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely need reminding, so the reminders are good for me.
I think we all do. And I think honestly, none of us are above it, right?
No.
We talk about these things in theory. We talk about them in from experience. But as we are in that experience, as we're experiencing that day, it doesn't feel so yummy and gooey and delicious. It's quite the opposite. Right? It's like your whole body's like, I don't want to feel this. It's so uncomfortable. Can I just watch Netflix now?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So those are great reminders, and also the reminders to just breathe. To just take micro breaks for 5 seconds and just breathe. One deep breath in, one deep breath out, and just allowing yourself to land in that very moment, land in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is such an easy practice. You can do that wherever you are, can't you?
You can. And when you do it, there's when I drive my kids to school, somebody put up a beautiful sign. It's a big red heart, and you can read it from the car, like they purposely put it up there. And it says, what does your breathing feel like?
That hits, doesn't it? I love that.
It does, because you're like, you're thinking about your day, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm running late for that, and then all of a sudden, where's my breathing?
Yeah.
And it helps you come in. It helps that mind to stop moving so quickly, and it settles your entire emotional field. And I think this is very important, what we're talking about now. We are disciples that are walking the path of mastery, which means that we have to make sure that our coherence and that where we are energy wise is the absolute most important thing. Everything else is secondary in my mind. What we're doing, how we're, what we're wearing, anything. It's not as important as who are you now? Where are you? How are you showing up?
Yeah, I really love that. That's a beautiful reminder. It really is.
Yeah. And I think this, where we are right now in the astrological cycle, where we're being asked to dig deep and find those last scraps of things that we don't want to look at, but we have to look at in order to move forward. It's so important to remember that we're doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
We're cleaning out our closets for a reason. We're dusting in the attic. We're looking in the cellar. We're trying to figure out what guck is still left there so that we can move on, that we can be lighter. And we're doing this because we want to move into a space of remembrance, right? So
yeah, it's taking off all these labels and everything, isn't it? And just getting back to the core of who we are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I also think if we're talking very much personal, but I think in the collective, we're going to see a lot of secrets come out. We're going to see a lot of not so great secrets come out. I'm thinking when it relates to money, when it relates to finances, to maybe pharmaceuticals, to all those things that are kind of related to Scorpio. And because Uranus is coming in and shining the light of truth, I believe that this is going to continue. We're just starting to see the beginning of a lot of truths coming out about dark secrets. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and I've noticed as well people actually questioning more, not just going along with what we're told. And I've seen it in myself as well. It's like, why do I even do this, or why do we do this?
Yeah.
So yeah,
a lot more reflection.
Yeah.
Right. Reflection about your own life, and also reflection about the life around us.
Yeah, and you see it a lot in society, a lot more in society now.
Yeah.
I think with the generations before us, it was just kind of like, this is how we do it, so just get on and do it. But yeah.
Yeah. And now we're more like you mentioned the last time, we're like, you sit down to tie your shoes and you're like, why am I going to work again? Why am I giving away most of my day to, whatever it may be? Yeah. So we're starting to have these deep reflections in our lives, at least starting to question why. Do I want to change it? Do I want to live differently? How do I want to live? How do I want to spend my day?
Yeah. Yeah. And I find as well, when you become curious like this, those opportunities to perhaps live away or whatever it is, kind of naturally come to you as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's highly exciting times. I would recommend to everyone to imagine an intensely positive future. To not, because it's so easy to look outside in the media, look at all these things that are happening, like all these things, the truths are going to come out. The old is crumbling, as we know, and we're seeing new beginnings. But the old is so loud and it's so screamy and noisy, and we're seeing all these terrible things, quite frankly, happening in our world as the old world is dying. But I would say that we need to focus our energy on the new, and we're not trying to spiritually bypass anything. We just have to energize, because we know that we're quantum beings. So where we put our energy, where we put our focus, that's where we energize. So if we spend all day worrying about, the next bad thing or whatever it might be, we need to pull our energy back and be like, wait, which dimension, where did I say that I wanted to live? Oh, right, I wanted to live out of love, not out of fear. So be positive and realize that where you're putting your energy and your intention, that's where you're going to magnetize things, and that's the reality that you're going to live in, and that's the reality that you're going to create for all of mankind. So I would say be deeply positive about the future, and that's not being delusional either. That's just knowing that you are a creator being and that you create the reality around you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that whole thing about like attracts like, isn't it? And whatever we're doing, if whether it is something negative or positive, we get more of that comes up for us. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Highly exciting future that we're going to head into, and once in a lifetime opportunity to shift that way of being for all of us, which I find so extremely exciting.
yeah, yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm wondering, there's sort of this little gap here. I'm wondering if we should do a short meditation about trust.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Because
Yeah.
that seems to be the theme. Or did you want to say something else now, Roy?
No, I was just glancing down at the notes I made. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
no, I'm well up for a meditation.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So, do you want to start this time, or should I, or how do you feel?
I'll let you take this
Me?
time.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, we'll start. And just because the theme for us seems to be very much relating to the trust area, and very much both trusting ourselves to let go of the things that we need to let go of, and trusting ourselves to put the new intention into where we truly want to go. So it's kind of holding ourselves through this process and knowing that we're going to be able to do it. So I think that's where we'll go. So I'm just going to close my eyes for a second because it's easier for me to tune into the field. I think we'll just take a deep breath together. In and out. And then I'd like you to just fully settle into your body. Just fully be present here, now. Knowing that there's no better place to be, nowhere to go, nothing to become but you. Fully knowing that you've always been able to trust yourself through all the different pathways in your life. Your body is holding you. Your heart is strong. And it's there for you.